Hello, what's up, and what's happening? Welcome back for yet another Miles Darkest 24/7 production. And today, we're going to talk about the settings and sliders for my Jets Connected franchise. And then right after this, you guys should get the first video of season number 3. Probably going to be dropping tomorrow, season 3, taking on the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football to kick off the 2016 season. But first things first, got to talk about the settings and got to talk about the sliders. Now, I don't really change things too much. I don't want to change everything, you know what I mean? I feel like EA has taken some positive steps in the right direction, as far as giving us a more competitive franchise and stuff like that. But for the most part, when it came to my settings, I just wanted to play or at least feel like it's a real NFL game. So, of course, the skill level is on all Madden. You guys will see the sliders in a little bit. We have 13-minute quarters and 17 play clock, or the minimum play clock at 17 seconds. So usually when I snap the ball, there's about 10 seconds or a little bit less than 10 seconds on the play clock, and I feel like that's how the NFL operates nowadays. You do have some teams that get in and out of the huddle pretty quickly, but for the most part, a lot of teams, they average around 60 to 65 plays a game, and this right here gives me around 60 to about 65 plays a game in our connected franchise. So that works out pretty well. That's pretty realistic and stuff like that. I do try to keep it as realistic as possible. Now I know that the games might turn out to be not that realistic, but hey, it is what it is. I'll get into that in a second. But I received the ball. I know in Madden it's popular to always kick in stuff like that, but I never want an unfair advantage. And in the NFL, most teams receive the ball. Now, there are some special cases like in the playoffs, and definitely in the Super Bowl, where a team will defer to the second half, but for the most part, everybody receives the opening kickoff in real football. So that's what I wanted to do. Heat-seeking tackles off, ball hawkers off, all that good stuff is off. I never want to have an unfair advantage over the CPU. But now let's get into the slide. So with my slider set, I kind of developed it, from playing MLB The Show and playing NBA 2K, where you have a great team. Like, let's take last year's team, the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, they were stacked. We all know they had LeBron, Chris Bosh, and D. Wade. And if you use that team in your franchise, yes, most likely you would have a top 3 seed in the East, but it wouldn't be easy. Meaning that if you played all 82 games or you played the whole season out with you using your team, you would get some close games. Some games that probably weren't that realistic, you know what I mean? Of course, if you play the Spurs, you might lose to the Spurs. If you play the Bucks, you could lose to the Bucks if you don't have your A game, but for the majority, it would just be a close game, closer than what it would actually be in real life. So I kind of took that formula and created my own slider set. So here it is. And I've developed this slider set just because I want every single game to be competitive. And if I lose, I don't mind if I lose by a couple of touchdowns. I don't care if I get blown out. But I never want to blow out the computer. I feel like if I blow out the computer, then you guys will kind of see how the season's going, kind of see, how everything's working out game by game and kind of like predict the outcome by halftime. And I don't want that. Now, as far as penalties are concerned, I don't touch penalties because I feel like a lot of glitchy things happen when you touch penalties. A lot of things that you wouldn't see start to happen and stuff like that. We're roughing the passer in the past. If you turn it up just a little bit, your players will just start running into the quarterback for no reason. They wouldn't even like tackle him. They'll just like bump him, and it'll be a 15-yard penalty. So I feel like even though EA has taken some positive steps in the right direction, I feel like with the penalties, it's still too glitchy at times and doesn't really make sense, when you turn it up. So I just leave it where it is. It really hasn't affected the outcome, you know what I mean, by not having that many penalties called. But I just feel like it's too glitchy and I really don't want to touch it. Injuries, I bumped up to 60, and I like that because now we are seeing more injuries and stuff like that. And before, we wouldn't get any injuries, and that was kind of fake. So fatigue is at 55. The minimum, the play speed threshold is at 50. I just left that alone. I felt like the player speed, it was portrayed good enough for me, so I just left it where it was. Special teams, I would like a more realistic special teams, with missing field goals and stuff like that. So I might tweak that, going forward. But as of right now, I'm just leave everything at 50. But again, here it is for the computer. That accuracy is at 40, and I know that's the biggest thing when I get, people saying in the comment section like, "Hey, you gotta turn the CPU's QB accuracy down." And I see where you're coming from. I definitely do. The quarterback's accuracy for the computer is a little bit high, or way too high. A lot of quarterbacks, like an EJ Manuel, or quarterbacks that are not, the best, like an EJ Manuel, will go like 17 with 17 going into the third quarter, and that's pretty unrealistic. But I feel like if I turn it down, then we will start winning a lot more. And I know what you're thinking, but isn't winning a good thing? Yes, winning is a good thing, but I never want it to be predictable. I don't want to go into like a team that doesn't have a good quarterback and start losing. You know what I mean? Or make them start losing just because the quarterback is inaccurate. So I did this so every single game is competitive, or we get blown out. That's basically how it is. If we win, it's going to be a close game. If we lose, it's most likely, going to be at least like by 10 points or whatever. So that's what I was going for. So this is my slider set. I feel like it works for me. You can try it if you want to. It's very, very hard. It's very, very challenging, but that's what I wanted. I never wanted my series to be predictable. But that's going to wrap this one up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video as always. I enjoyed bringing it to you. Hope that the rest of your day is the best of your day. And I'm going to see y'all later. Peace. Hot sauce.